Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. A quote from the founder of Unilever, Lord Leverhulme. Hi, my name is Oliver and I work for Playrcart. At Playrcart, we believe digital consumer journeys are clustered, unconsidered, and hinder their intended results. Currently, we live in a world where a consumer is targeted with thousands of advertisements per day, and our digital attention has become the most valuable commodity on the planet. Our attention span is shortening, however the digital journey remains the same. How can a charity create cut-through and convert consumer emotion into donations in an effective way? We are a group of enthusiastic innovators that have built an instantly donatable ad format, no redirection to a website or third-party giving sites. Less faff, more fundraising. So please join us for our session as we explain our technology, how it works, and answer your questions. We're going to communicate to you the future of digital fundraising.
Thanks so much for joining our room and for joining the conversation really around innovation in fundraising. It's super exciting, obviously, to have this opportunity to look in more detail some of the most innovative ideas in the sector. Just quick introduction, I'm Helen Thompson. I'm from Amnesty International. And here we have with us our finalist, Oliver Lee, who's going to be sharing his video conversion tool, Playrcart, which promises less faff, more fundraising. And I really hope the word faff translates well for our colleagues in other languages, because I absolutely love it. Less faff, great. So Oliver's going to give us like a 5-minute overview of Playrcart, then we're going to move into the questions, and I'll pick them up as they come through. So over to you, Oliver.
Fantastic. Sharing my screen now.
Perfect.
Please let me know if you can see
that. Got
that.
Yeah, I can see that. Thanks.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Helen, for that introduction. For those of you that aren't familiar with the word faff, it's a very British word meaning friction, I suppose. So we are Playrcart, and we have gone with the phrase, less faff, more fundraising. And we are a video commerce business that plays in the digital marketing space. And I will explain to you more about how our technology works as we go through. One thing I'd like to note before we crack on with the pitch is we are a business that has gone through various different incubation schemes, but they're one of note, and this is not me gloating. We are invested in by Telefonica via the Wayra Alumni Scheme, and that brings with it some very interesting technical capabilities that I think are very relevant to the NGO and charity sector. So without further ado, I'm going to set the scene about why we built Playrcart. So we work in the digital marketing space, which is really the internet, the global internet, which we all know to be extremely prevalent. And the video traffic that we all consume on a daily basis via video streaming or video downloads is only set to grow. It's a growth channel, and by 2022, Cisco envisaged that will take up 82% of the global internet traffic, which is an astonishing figure. If we then look at how charity plays in the online sphere, charitable giving online is on the rise. So across all generations, millennial donors, Gen X donors, and baby boomers, you'll see that online credit card and debit card donations are taking a large precedent of that, of that monetary value, which I'm sure you're seeing from your own charities. And if we look at overall giving, of course, it's grown by 4.1%. What's interesting is the online giving again has grown by 12.1%. So people are interested in purchasing online. However, there is some issues with that. So who are we? We are Playrcart, and our goal is to make every video a donation opportunity. So we turn existing online video or live stream anywhere into an immediate call to action. So with Playrcart, the entire viewing and donation process starts and ends with us. So what is it we're solving? We've seen that there is a problem. So if I'm served this digital marketing advertising unit, because I'm on the Daily Mail online and I've shown behaviors attributed to someone that is willing to give funds to a charitable cause, I'm served this ad for sport relief. I decide, yes, I want to donate to this charitable cause. I press donate now. Now, historically, I would be pushed through to Sport Relief's donation website. That might even be a third-party giving website. Now we know what happens from here on out. We click through to that site, we end up on the homepage. Some charities we might have mobile optimized homepage, we might have only desktop. Nonetheless, I might be asked to log into an account, select a donation package, select a gifting aid, opt in for my data to be harnessed, proceed to the donation, enter my billing details. And just when I think I'm about to give money to the cause that I wanted to give to, I have to potentially sign into an account or jump another hurdle. So lots of friction for us to actually achieve the fund giving and the donation and what we call the media industry, the call to action. So there is a true disconnect between highly engaging video assets, emotion driving video assets, and the donation experience and the call to action we want people to actually act upon. So that's where Playrcart steps in. We have built a video commerce platform that allows a consumer to instantly action through the Donate Now button from within that video asset and give funds to the cause that they wanted to with little to no friction. So if we take a look at what that user journey actually looks like. So if we take this video image here that has been layered in with the Playrcart technology, the consumer is engaged by that content in this full page, what might be a pre-roll ad. They engage with the call to action of Donate Now. Now, instead of being taken to a third-party website, they're shown these next set of iterations, which they can actually configure their fund giving, they can select their payment method, and they can enter their customer details. So in this instance here, donating to WaterAid, we have £20 donation being made. I can select my payment method. So if WaterAid on the back end are using PayPal, Apple Pay and credit card to take in donations and funds, we can bring that payment solution to the forefront of that advertising. Now, what's important to note, right at the beginning of the presentation, I talked about our relationship with Telefonica. That also allows us to offer our brand partners and our NGO partners an option for consumers to add this donation value to their monthly phone bill. And we call that direct carrier billing, which is going to be a really powerful tool for people to one-touch past this, we can obviously yield credit card details and customer CRM details. And what Playrcart does is then pass those on to the brand or to the NGO on the back end. Once the donation has been yielded, the consumer is free to surf the content they were already in place to watch. We have run a campaign of this nature, and in this video here, you shall see an example of it. I'm going to skip through to where we actually start to see the interface. So the consumer is watching that live stream with Nile Rodgers, which is obviously a charitable event. The consumer can then click the Donate Now. They can enter in their details, and this takes over the entirety of the screen, and they can choose their payment method. They can add their credit card details, which for most of us online, if we're doing a lot of online shopping, are already saved. Again, very, very simple. And we can actually pay now, and we donated to the cause. Simple as that. So there's a technical element to what we do. There is a light technical integration that needs to occur. So for us to achieve this payment taking from the video asset, Playrcart sits in the middle. So we would take your existing video assets and layer in our technology to allow this next set of screens to take place. And anything that happens in the video asset, we take that information through our platform and we pass it directly to the NGO on the back end. So for us to set up a campaign, we'd integrate our platform with your payment or donation technology and your customer relationship management technology. It's important to note that Playrcart does not hold any intermediate data or funds. Once we pass the information from the digital marketing campaign to you on the back end as the NGO, we delete that and diminish it from our internal systems. So we are really acting as the intermediate between what is going on at the ad and what can be passed on to the brand. So then there comes the question of where can this technology run? So our technology actually is built around HTML5 technology, which in the digital marketing industry is considered rich media video. So we can push these ads out in various different sizes and specs, pre-roll, mid-roll, MPU, standard units, or even bespoke units that you might be working with some publishers on. And we also have the technology capability to push this video commerce tool across social media networks. We've already run campaigns across the likes of Facebook. We're already in talks with Twitter about how we can push this across their assets too. So then it comes down to very simply how I'd like to round off is what do we need to make a campaign like this or get it off the ground is, as we've mentioned, an integration, the right creative in a campaign. So the light integration that's required is for us to integrate our platform with your donation stack and your CRM stack. We then need a conversion driving asset for us to layer in our technology to. So that video format is preferred, but not only subject to. And obviously Donate Now is a great conversion driving call to action. And for we need a campaign for this to be applicable to. So when you're pushing out your January, February fundraising initiatives to multiple publishers, we can actually integrate with your existing assets and add this into your formats. that is that all from me. Just to reiterate, we are Playrcart, and we're here to drive less friction in online fundraising, and we are less faff and more fundraising. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Oliver. Fantastic. It's really interesting to hear everything about the product. So I'm going to open the floor for questions. Please do type your questions for Oliver in the chat, and maybe just to get us started whilst we're waiting for some to come through. We will have 10 minutes to answer any questions now, but maybe I'll just begin with a question.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. So I don't know about anyone else on the call, but when I first was introduced to the product, I kind of see it working more effectively for single gifts and linked specifically into events. So could you maybe expand a bit on whether you see this working, if at all, for regular givers, or linking to other types of video that are not event-based, so maybe campaigning videos or that kind of thing?
For sure. So in this deck, you've actually only seen what we would call one of our call to actions. So that is an actual donate now button is being pressed, and we're allowing that consumer to give funds along with their payment information. Now, as a business, we have lots of different disciplines that we can actually align our technology to. So we actually work in a space which we call straight data capture, which would, if you are trying to yield signups for a certain event or a certain webinar around a certain topic, we could use the same technology, removing the payment stack integration, and just have a straight data capture. And we can also work with pretty much any technology you've got currently on your website, i.e. if you've got a direct debit function that sits within your payment stack or donation technology, we can also bring that to the forefront of the ad. We've just shown a very basic version of how people can give one touch or one-time gifts to a charity. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, great. That sounds great. Fantastic. And just another one in the setup as well. So is it kind of at the minute only charities are able to stream their produced video? Or could it be applied to a movement-based kind of thing, like a grassroots model, a bit like an Avaz or a Just Giving thing where anyone can set up their own donate button for your charity?
At the moment, the technology needs to come through us to be obviously set up. But in the future, we're definitely moving in that direction where we can give the power to the NGO to allow other people to set up their own function. Just Giving is a business we are looking to talk to about this technology, so people can go in, upload a video or even a set of pictures. We've chosen video as the vehicle for our technology because, as we know, it's a huge growth channel. It's not restricted to video, though. So we could have a carousel of static images. We could have a light GIF. Again, we could give our technology to Just Giving to have an ad builder on their side. So it's a very malleable technology, and we're finding lots of different use cases for it in the NGO world.
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I can envisage it being in lots of different places, like people putting their own videos up. And
example you saw for Nile Rodgers was obviously layered into a live stream. Now that live stream was pushed out through various different channels. Our technology still remained on the background. So we actually provide the final product of the live stream, and that can be pushed out to different channels, and then people are able to action in the same way. And obviously in the future, we're looking more towards the televised charity events to allow people to donate similarly with remotes on TVs, and the technology remains the same.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks. So if anyone has any questions for Oliver, please do add them into the chat. We can, and then he can answer those for you there. Maybe I've got another couple. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. So just on the focusing on some of the examples that I've seen, you focus on maybe the UK charities or the US, the bigger markets. So my question is how adaptable do you think this is for multiple markets? So for example, here at Amnesty, I work a lot with the Americas, and they're always super keen to innovate, but they often have quite big challenges with payment processing. So you mentioned briefly about the requirements that are needed to roll it out, but can you expand on that a little bit? And have you tested it as well in any emerging markets?
Yes, actually, our business was born in the UK in South London, but we have some not NGO experience, but we have some worked with film providers in the South America, so in the Brazilian market. And what that's enabled us to do is to prove our technology in that market. So we actually set up similar technology that was enabled for people to buy film tickets on what is essentially the equivalent to the Daily Mail in the Brazilian market. So we have experience in multi-channel and multi-market operations, and the way in which we integrate, I'll explain that again, is our technical team would actually approach the charities either internal technical team or work with a third party that might be managing it on their behalf, and we would integrate our API keys that sit alongside their current technology. So if there's been challenges in the South Americas where they've had payment processing issues, but they have solved them on the front end with potentially new technology or workarounds, all we're doing is bringing forward that opportunity. So our platform forms the communication lines between what's going on the website already.
Great. Great to hear. And great to hear you've already tested it in a few different places as well. That would be super useful for
different channels as well. Obviously, what's key here is the different types of format that get pushed out, whether it's against news publications or on social media formats, or even standard display running in a programmatic sense. We're able to, we have tested across all three of those particular buys. So we can build this technology into a scalable campaign.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you. So I guess what also would be really interesting to hear, if you could share any more like lessons you've learned from rolling this out and testing it. So for example, from the Nile Rodgers event and stuff.
So I was conscious of the 5 minutes as we kept powered through the presentation and pitch, but we actually ran this live stream, which was over an hour and a half, just pushing up to 2 hours worth of music concert that was streamed live. And obviously our technology was layered over that content. And throughout that stream, for the thousands of visitors that joined the stream, 10% actually went through to donate through our technology, which really took us back. It's an incredible amount of conversion from the amount of people that signed on to that live stream. And it's when really we found out that we had a product here that was going to be very, very useful to charities and online fundraising. So at any point throughout that stream of the 2 hours, the audience were instructed by the host here pointing towards the actual donate call to action, and could actually go through and donate money of any amount. So if we just play this again, just mute here, we can see obviously the coverage of the live event, and she's interviewing with Niall, and then they both actually allude to the fact that you can make a donation. And then in this section here, you can put as much or as little as you can afford. And obviously that section where you choose your payment options is where you would select potentially direct debit payments and set those up with your bank account. If the NGO is using that on their own website, then it's not a problem for us to bring that forward to the front of the video. Then the payment is confirmed and they were free. Their funds have been submitted as a donation, and the consumer is then free to continue watching the live stream after they've given to a worthy cause.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can see this working so well with influencer marketing specifically, or
sure.
like any big artists or any big events or things like that. It sounds like
we're getting a lot of interest from influencer marketing through various different channels. Some of the brands we're working with, some of the agencies we're working with that are doing influencer marketing for charitable causes, and it's really exciting time for us. And some of the social networks are really perking their ears up to this technology and how it can be used both for fundraising and for brands alike.
Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So I think we just have time for one more quick question. If there's no burning questions on the chat, maybe the last one could be like, have you considered anything about what risks you see associated with your product? Like what have your team done to manage those risks, if you do see any?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously an immediate risk for us is the trust element of would a consumer put their payment details into what is essentially a video ad? And actually of previous proof of concepts that we've run with both charities and brands selling physical goods online, we ran a bit of a focus group with our latest brand. And the results were really surprising, actually. So trust would be, an obvious risk for us. And only 5% of a 200 respondent audience had an issue with the trust. And I think that's in relation to what we're seeing on the social media platforms and the instantly shoppable formats that are coming out of Instagram and Facebook. Our technology is really playing in that same realm and making this widely available through the open web, through live streaming as well. So that's definitely a risk. Obviously, we are also very conscious in the current time and date about data protection. So we have stringent legislation in place internally when we onboard a new partner or a new brand to make them very comfortable with the way in which we're handling a consumer and their own data. So we have basically a look under the hood to see how, in fact, our technology, once received data from consumer and passes it, we diminish that internally and it's completely eradicated. So we just form that intermediate passing from one side to the other. So that's would be the two risks really I would see.
Fantastic, thank you. That's super interesting, and yeah, I think that's probably all we have time for from this session. But thank you so much for presenting to us and for the participation.
Perfect. All right, thank you very much for that introduction, Helen. As you said, my name is Oliver and I work for Playrcart, and we play in the digital marketing sphere, and we have built a technology that we believe innovates online fundraising. And we've gone with the tagline, less faff, more fundraising. And faff really is an English term for friction. And I'll explain more about that and it will become clear as we venture through the deck. One thing I want to mention about Playrcart and where we've come from, and it's not to gloat, it really does come with a good reason, is we are a business that's been invested in by Telefonica. We entered into the Wayra Alumni, which is an incubation scheme for technology innovators, and Telefonica liked what we were doing so much that they actually invested in our business, and with that comes very interesting technology capabilities that I'd like to share with you, which I think have a lot of connotations to the fundraising industry. Before we start, I want to set the scene around the current state of play and where we're headed. As it stands, we all consume video in various different forms, be it video streaming or video downloads, or in content on social media. And that's not set to go anywhere anytime soon. Cisco estimates that 82% of global internet traffic will come from video by 2022. So our product is centered around video, but not restricted to. But video is really the way in which we communicate with our donors and with our audiences very, very effectively. So as we've seen in the last year, charitable giving is on the rise, but not only is charitable giving on the rise across all different generations, but online and credit card, debit card donations are also taking a precedent in that market share. So through millennial donors, Gen X and baby boomers, all of them are deciding to donate via online. And as charitable giving is growing on an overall basis of 4.1% over the past year, online grew by 12%. So it's really the space to be in, making sure that we have a very good customer experience. So who are we? Playrcart, our goal is to make every video a donation opportunity. And we turn existing online video and live stream anywhere into an immediate call to action. So with Playrcart, the entire viewing and donation starts and ends with us. But what is the problem that we're solving? Currently, this current state of play is that we are served a video ad, a standard video advertisement on potentially the Daily Mail, so a group of news publications where we've engaged our charity and we want to push out an ad campaign. We're targeting the right audience to look like they might be ready to make a fundraising donation. And we serve them that ad and they click on that button, donate now. Now, historically, they're taken through to potentially the Sport Relief home website or a third-party giving page. Now, as is with today's current market, we want to yield their data. So we ask them to log in, select a donation package, select a gifting age, opt into potentially data capture, proceed to the donation, and then finally enter their billing details. And just when that consumer thinks they're about to donate to the cause they wanted to, we ask them to sign into an account or jump one other final hurdle before they can actually achieve what they want. So there's lots of steps that are causing friction between the original advertisement or video and the end goal of allowing someone to actually give funds to their charity of choice. So there is a true disconnect between engaging video assets and the donation experience. And that's really where Playrcart come in. So we've built a video player that allows video commerce at scale with ease. So we allow your audience to act upon their emotions through the video assets that have been built, and they can act upon that to donate to their worthy cause within just a few clicks. Here is a breakdown of how that user journey actually works. So if we take the engaging video that we have here for Water Aid in Africa, and we've layered in our technology here to allow that donate call to action we're seeing on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, sorry, of that first screen. Behind that call to action sits this extremely frictionless journey for a consumer. So they click that donate now button, and they're then presented with these next screens where they can configure the amount that they want to actually give to that charity. And then they can move on to their payment choices. Now, if Water Aid on their website are using PayPal, Apple Pay, and credit card, debit card payments as options for their consumers, then we can bring that to the forefront of the advert as well. Now, right to the beginning of the presentation, I talked about our relationship with Telefonica. Now, that relationship also brings with it something that we call direct carrier billing. Now, it's something that's going to start making its way into our lives more and more, and we're actually able to offer it to our clients and our NGO partners via this donation tool. And what it means is that when the consumer decides they want to give funds to this charity of choice or their charity of choice, they can actually add the sum of this donation to their monthly phone bill. So O2 will actually take on that credit facilitation, pay the NGO, and actually recoup the funds at the end of the month on their monthly phone bill, which is an incredibly powerful tool that plays into that buy now, pay later, I want it now immediacy that we're seeing happening across the commercial world. So if we take this back a step and say that our consumer opted for credit and debit card, as we saw is a very prevalent way of making donations in the current world, they're then able to actually either scan their credit card number or even type that in manually. There's an option for us to include a data capture here where we have first name, last name, email address that we can yield as well. Once that all information is harnessed, we then confirm the donation with the consumer. And that's where Playrcart's technology steps in. Once we take that information, payment and customer information, we then pass it directly to the NGO on their back end, and we delete it from our system. So it's as if someone had ventured to your website and done the same action on the website. Here's an example of where we've actually worked with the Nile Rodgers We Are Family Foundation, where we actually laid in our technology onto a live stream. So this live stream event was pushed out across various different social media channels, and you can actually see how our technology could be used in this instance. So the presenter is talking to Nile Rodgers about the foundation and what they're trying to achieve and why they're raising money. And once the consumer is enticed, they click that donate now button, and they can start to interact with the Playrcart technology that sits behind. They actually can configure the amount that they would like to give to the charity and select their payment options. If they're on a desktop, it's more likely that their payment options have been saved because they might be doing some online shopping, and they can very easily click through and make that payment. And again, this is where Playrcart systems step in. We then take that payment information, customer information, and pass it directly to the NGO for them to process on their end. Simple as that. And the consumer is then free to surf the content they were originally watching. So the technical question that lies is, how do we integrate? So if we're successful to work on a campaign with an NGO, Playrcart's technical team will actually work with your internal technology teams to set up what we call an API key. And that will allow our video to automatically pass donations and payment processes directly to your systems internally. And the very crude diagram you're seeing below is really how we like to communicate it. So everything that happens on the video ad unit that's being served out to the general public, Playrcart system is taking that information and passing it directly to the brand's payment and CRM stacks. Simple as that. Another burning question might be, where can this technology run? So our technology is using the HTML5 code platform as a vehicle. So what we call in digital marketing as a rich media video ad. So we can build this into various different specification sizes, and we can push this out to various different channels. Some terminology you might be familiar with: open market advertising is pre-roll, mid-roll ads, MPUs, or any standard ad units, or even bespoke units that you might be working with rich media partners on. On top of that, we can actually push this out to various social media networks. So this actually technology works on Facebook, and the Nile Rodgers example that you saw for a live stream was actually pushed out via Facebook. We're currently in talks with the likes of Twitter and YouTube about how we can open up their channels for a technology like this also. So what is needed to get a campaign with Playrcart up and running? So as we've covered, an integration. A light API integration is required, where our internal Playrcart technical team will interact with the NGO's back-end tech team, and we'll do an API key integration with your donation stack and your CRM stack. We then do on the front end, we'll actually layer in our technology into the appropriate creative. Now, obviously for this initial campaigns, a conversion driving asset is really what would be preferred. Video format would be preferred, and a call to action to actually make a donation would obviously be very handy. And we'd obviously need a campaign at scale. So where you might be running January and February or March fundraising appeals, we could attach our technology to your existing assets and work with multiple publishers, push this technology out across various different formats. That is it from me. We are Playrcart, and we're here to with the aim of making less faff and more fundraising a possibility. I'm happy to answer questions.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Oliver. Yeah, super interesting to hear. And I know we've got a few questions coming through on the chat already.
Great.
Yes, feel free to stop sharing. Yeah. So actually all of our questions are from Peter. And his first question was, is it available for all communications carriers? So the US, Europe, Asia, and Africa.
I can answer that question very simply. It is, we've tested this technology in various different markets, and as the technology pipes work very similarly, we can translate this across various different markets. On top of that, we own the intellectual property for this technology across those different markets. So we're very keen to explore where we can push this out.
Fantastic. Yeah, very simple one. So yes, available. His second question was, when the NGO processes the data, do they get the donor information? So do they get the supporter contact details for follow-up engagement?
Absolutely. I'm just going to keep this up here because I want to talk about the stages of which that can be yielded. So in this example here, we're seeing what is particularly just a straight payment interaction. Now, on top of this, we could layer in what we call a data capture screen, where the consumer would add in their first and second and email address about them. And absolutely, when we do that integration for the payment stack, we can similarly do a CRM integration. So that information is automatically formatted and pushed straight into your NGO's database.
Fantastic. And then the next one is around like the user journey. So after they've donated, is the donor then immediately taken back to the video after they've donated so they can carry on watching?
Absolutely. So the way in which we've currently set up videos like this is the video is paused in the background, and the consumer is free to interact with the Playrcart technology or the UX. Once they're finished with their donation and it's completed, they go back to where the video was paused.
Perfect. And then a little question: what does faff mean? Which is a really nice one.
Very British term for. Actually, it's quite hard to explain. I think friction in this instance is the best description for it. It's got many other meanings in the English language, as we have lots of words that do. It means less friction in the online journeys. So rather than clicking on an ad and going to a website and having to navigate your way there, we eradicate that friction and allow a consumer to actually achieve what they intended to do when they made the click.
Yeah, less needless messing around, I think.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it means. Needless messing around.
That's it. And then we've got a question from Bryony. What do the costs look like for NGOs?
Perfect. So as a business, we obviously we have to cover our cost to integrate this technology. There is a bit of dev work that gets done there. So that comes at a cost, and that really depends on whether it's a donation stack integration, a CRM stack integration, or both. And obviously vice versa, whether we're looking at direct debit card integrations. On top of that, we charge a CPM to run this, so it'll be on top of where you're already running video, which can again be dependent on format sizes. And there is a transaction fee, which just covers our costs of actually processing the payment from our end. So
there's a payment fee, and then there's, she's got a follow-up question.
Which is minimum.
Yeah, is that per video, and what is CPM? Can you just clarify?
Yes, sure. So CPM is a digital marketing term for how we actually charge out campaigns. So it stands for cost per thousand or cost per million, and it really is cost per thousand impressions. So we might charge, for example, £3 or £4 as a CPM, so cost per 1,000 impressions. So if every time this video loads, if this video gets played 1,000 times, we charge £4.
Okay, so it's not charged per conversion, and then there's the payment fee on top of that?
Not at this stage, no.
Okay, great.
We are quite, based on partnerships to look at different ways in which we could structure commercials.
Fantastic, thanks. Then another question, do you have an example of your like typical conversion rate to donation, like from watching the video, what's your conversion rate for NGO donations?
Sure. So this isn't a campaign that we ran for the Nile Rodgers We Are Family Foundation. This was through live stream and on a social network. This campaign yielded a 10% conversion from the amount of viewers to donators, which is astronomical. So that's the only fact that we have from the NGO sector. We're really looking for more examples of where we can push this out and work with NGOs around the world to find a bit more of a benchmark for conversions. We have examples from various different sectors, i.e. data capture through automotive brands, and we have examples for retail-based purchasing of products using the same technology. But for NGO, that's the only example that we have so far.
Great. And Peter's just clarifying, is that conversion for-profit companies, so not for NGOs, but for like retail or kind of things?
So the 10% that I quoted was for this campaign here, which was for a non-for-profit We Are Family Foundation, which is owned and operated by Nile Rodgers. I can share at a later date more detailed conversions for open market advertising that we've run for for-profit organisations, and it was through the Boots Walgreens Alliance, one of their brands.
Perfect. And of course, everyone can contact Oliver, and his details are on the main screen as well, backward at the main thing. I think we've maybe got time for one more quick question. And Peter had another question. Where do you face the biggest hurdles? What are the biggest hurdles you faced in getting an NGO to adopt your platform?
Okay. So the biggest hurdles we potentially faced so far would be the integration. I think when you start to talk about word integration with an NGO, it can be quite daunting and quite scary. What is unique about our business is we only need to integrate an API key. It's actually quite a light touch integration. Now, what can be viewed as maybe months worth of work is actually can be achieved from our end in a couple of days. So once we get to that point with NGOs, then there's obviously legal and data hurdles that we have that we are more than happy to jump through and overpass. But as we grow as a business, we have legislation in place that obviously can cover all of that information. So I would say the biggest hurdle so far would be the integration, and then obviously the legal circles and hoops that we have to jump through to ensure that everyone is happy from a data passing point of view. But we're more than happy to jump through those hoops, whatever needs to be done to get things up and running.
Fantastic. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think that's all we've got time for now. Thanks for all the questions and the participation just now. Please do head back to the main event where you can have a look at what is going on for the last part of the session. I'll just post the link in the chat so everyone has it. And thank you so much, Oliver, for sharing the products with us and for giving us your insights on Playrcart. All right, thanks
for all your questions and participation. It was nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much.